Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. The DRF Bets Race of the Day for Wednesday, April the 11th, race number 8 at Keeneland. We're going 1 mile on the turf, and if you sign up now for a new DRF Bets account, you access a $150 sign-up bonus. It's easy. Go to drf.com/join and type in the promo code TV150. Let's take a look at this field of fillies and mares, some honest ones at that. It's an overflow field of non-winners of 2 other than allowance runners, again going a mile on the turf. You can access free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them and handicap along with us as we take this field in post-position order. And Matt, the number 1, Purely a Dream, won her maiden over this course and distance at 2, took the grade 3 Bourbonnette Oaks at 3, and I think you can give her some extra points for her most recent start. She closed into a slow pace.
Yeah, she did. I think the interesting thing about a field like this, the fact that she has won over, I think that's major because we've talked about it in the past. Keeneland can be a bit of a horse for course track, particularly on the turf course. There's a part of me that wonders, you see, she's 2 for 2 in the exacta on the synthetic. Is she slightly better on a synthetic surface than she is on turf? I think she's going to need to run the best race of her life to date to win.
The number 2 is Mythical Mission, who is on an 8-race losing streak, but amazingly enough during that span has been stakes placed 7 times, including a second in the Woodbine Oaks. She wintered with Graham Motion in South Florida. How ready do you think she'll be? This is going to be her first start of the year, and do you think she could be a little bit more effective on a synthetic surface?
Yeah, to me, this just feels like a starting off point. Let's get her ready for Woodbine. You know, she's done most of her damage on synthetic. You brought up the fact that she shows up pretty much in every single race. I just wonder if she's a little bit better on synthetic surface than the turf. Maybe this is a starting off.
She ran to a solid one last time out. Ghostly Presence came back to win the Tropical Park Oaks down in South Florida with an 89 Beyer speed figure. We have a formulator fact for the number 3, Brooks House, for trainer Steve Asmussen. Over the past 3 years with older turf routers going off a 45 to 60 day layoff in allowance races, he's won half of his 10 starts with a $3.70 ROI. I think some folks are going to look at Brooks House as being a little bit dressed up because she had a perfect ground-saving trip last time out and still couldn't get it done at Sam Houston.
Yeah, I think that's the big knock at this point. 2 for 17. You see those 7 minor awards. Had a beautiful situation last time and still couldn't get the job done. And you take a look and see that field. I understand the 3rd place finisher was a next out winner with an 84 Beyer. But the horses in and amongst there, I don't know I necessarily class up to the level. I know it was a stakes race, but this 2X is a pretty salty group.
If you believe that 86 Beyer speed figure, she is certainly a factor in this race, and she does have that important win over the Keeneland turf course. She is going to need some pace. Joel Rosario takes the mount. The number 4 is Samuna. This is a North American first-time import. We have a positive formulator fact for a good young trainer, Jorge Abreu. Over the past 90 days with older horses on turf, 31% winners, a $2.42 return on investment. This filly looks like a private purchase, but she hasn't run in a very long time. As a matter of fact, has only raced once since October of 2016. I'll take a wait-and-see approach even with that formulator fact.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you about Jorge Abreu. I agree that formulator fact is nice. You've been gone for such a long time. You've run once in a year and a half. I have to wait and see what we get off this.
5 is Lola's the One. This horse is going second off the layoff, and the last time she made that move, she won a non-winners of 1 other than at the fairgrounds, albeit in off-the-turf fashion. It was with an 81 Beyer speed figure. She had a tough post position last time out. Is that enough of an excuse to make for her, or is she just a little bit too slow?
No, I think it's slow. You go to the runs 2 and 3. From a Beyer's standpoint, they're okay. I understand that 3rd start going back that cycle, that was on the sloppy sealed main, but if she runs that 81 2 starts back, I suppose that gives her a puncher's chance. I'm also curious to see where she positioned throughout the running because I don't think any true sort of breakneck speed in here. I think she'll work at a decent, but at the end of the day, I think she's a little slow.
Shug McGahee-trained runners usually get better with age and experience, and the number 6, Danceland, is coming off a little bit of a layoff here with a positive formulator fact for Shug. Over the past 2 years with older turf routers off a layoff of 180 days or greater, he's won with a third of his starters and over a $3 return on investment. I thought last time out on the risk-averse stakes, you're just supposed to draw a line through her. I think she ran a lot better than it looks because there was no pace on tap.
Yeah, there was no pace, and she was pretty wide, all things considered, throughout that run. I thought she was just kind of okay, but again, you have reasons to draw a line through it. The layoff usually would be concerned, but Shug does pretty well with these types as well. I suppose the 0 for 2 at Keeneland is a little bit concerning, but at the same time, I'm going to look at it and say she ran over yielding and good ground. The rest of her body of work on firm would suggest that she's probably going to be suited for firm going. If you get some nice solid ground on Wednesday, I think she's a big chance.
Are you concerned about her lack of early speed? She really doesn't have a lot of pace.
Yeah, you have to factor that in a race like this where I don't think there's a ton signed on early. And with a horse that's confirmed to come from the back of the pack, you've got to wonder, is she going to have too much to do down the lane and maybe has to settle for something smaller, one of the minor awards?
Draw a line through the most recent race of the 7, Ladies Privilege. She drew a terrible post position and was simply overmatched in a graded stakes race that featured 3 next out winners, including the winner of that race, Lovely Bernadette, who then took the Mrs. Revere with a 92 Beyer speed figure. Her prior start resulted in a stakes win at Parks, and we have a positive formulator fact for Michael Matz. Over the past 5 years, older turf routers off this kind of a layoff, when they return in allowance races, 25% a positive ROI. A filly that is lightly raced, we perhaps have not seen her best, a little bit slow on paper.
Yeah, she's going to need to step it up from a speed figure standpoint, but you bring up some big pieces. That Valley View was a pretty strong race, all things considered. And that Hall of Fame, I don't think she beat a heck of a lot in there, but she did it in a good fashion, in a good enough manner. If you think that she doesn't have to come from way out of it because you have to go back 3, 4, 5 starts, she had a little bit of tactical speed. Maybe that's a difference maker. And again, you bring up that positive number for Michael Matz.
Poor Girl's most recent win came over the spring meet at Keeneland to kick off her 2017 campaign. She's kicking off her 2018 campaign here, and she is going to be a price yet again. From a class standpoint, where does she class up? That most recent race way back in the fall, it featured the 4th place finisher that came back to run second for a $40,000 tag, but then she was stakes placed in her next 2 starts.
Yeah, I suppose you can spin that positive looking at that piece right there. But at the same time, I look at it and say she got the job done back in April last year. We're almost going to go back an entire calendar year for that last victory. But that was in a non-winners of one other than. And it seems like this N2X level, she just can't get over the hump. She's close. She'll get little minor awards here and there, a couple of runner-up finishes. I just don't know if she's quite good enough to get the job done here at this level.
Mark Casse sends out the 9, La Solo Ranger. The hot riding Corey Lannery takes the mount, 5-1 on the morning line. This horse overcame a slow pace to win her seasonal debut at the fairgrounds. I'm just not sure what she beat.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand that runner-up. I wouldn't hold her next race against her because that was run on an off-the-turf sort of event. But at the same time, if you want to just look at it and say second off the bench, she could take a step forward. Maybe she wasn't totally tight, but she was just better than what she faced at the fairgrounds. I like that she's run well at Keeneland. I don't think she's totally without a chance in here.
Not a ton of speed in this race, it appears. Let's see what our friends at Timeform US think with their pace projector. They have the number 10 Schema, a winner of her last 2 starts on synthetic surfaces, out there on the lead, and I can certainly see that. But boy, Schema's most recent win at Turfway, she got her opening quarter in 26 seconds flat. She's supposed to win at 5-2 that day, and I don't think she beat a very strong field. She may need to be loose on a similar lead to beat this tougher group.
I know that synthetic usually plays on the slower side, but 26 seconds is a snail's pace. I can go 26 seconds for a quarter mile. I have a hard time imagining her wiring this field.
The horse to beat is probably the number 11 La Sardane, who we have not seen since June, and this will be her first start in North America. She was privately purchased by Team Valor prior to her final start in Europe, a race in which she won a Group 2, and it was against some very good horses. The runner-up came back to run third to Thunder Snow in a Group 1 stakes race. The third place horse, all she did was come back to win the French Oaks. Now, after that race, Team Valor brought her to Del Mar. They wanted to run her twice. She had a lung infection. She had a minor injury. They stopped on her. So now she returns off a long layoff. But she did some very good things overseas last year.
Yeah, you've got to look at it and assume if she brings any of that form over here, she's probably just better than these horses that she'll run against. You also have to kind of consider, is this nothing more than a starting off point to get her ready for bigger on the road, probably out in Southern California. If that's the case, maybe you can catch her off the bench here, and maybe this is when she's going to be a little bit short. But having said that, I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was just better than these horses.
If you don't think much of that 10 horse on the lead, maybe the 12 Valentine Wish is going to fall into a really good situation. Last time out on dirt, she ran well, but I don't really think that's her surface. 2 starts back at Keeneland during their fall meet, she was up close to a pretty fast pace, and she paid the price late. She has some races, most notably at Ellis Park over the summer, fast enough to win. And again, if Robbie Alvarado can get that coveted spot off of the 10, it's possible she'll take this thing over, turning into the stretch at a decent price.
I think she's interesting if you're looking for a really long price in here or a nice solid number. My concern is kind of what you alluded to. Her 2 best races by far have come at Ellis Park, and I wonder maybe she just has an affinity for that turf course. Conversely, she's 0 for 2 at Keeneland. If you're looking for a big number, why not use her? I think she's interesting. I just don't know if she's quite this good at this track.
Magical Sky would probably factor, but she has to break in off the also eligible list. So we'll go straight to our top selections for race number 8 at Keeneland, our Wednesday DRF Bets race of the day. 2 Formulator Fact horses. You believe in Shug off the bench. You've got the 6 Danceland.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot here on these stakes previews and on Out of the Gate, where Shug's horses, they just do better as they get older. I wonder, again, off this layoff, he usually does positive with these sorts. But I'm also not crazy. I mean, if La Sardane shows up and she shows that form that she had when she was a Group 2 winner over in Europe, she's probably just better than these horses. I'll go 6-11.
Well, Brooks House did have a good trip last time out at Sam Houston. She does have that all-important win over this course, and I wonder if Steve Asmussen is starting to figure her out. This is her only 4th start for Asmussen, but like with your horse, the 6 Danceland, the 3 Brooks House is going to need a little bit of a pace. I'm going to go 3-11-2. And agree with you. If that 11 comes back firing off the layoff, the rest of these could be in for a very long afternoon. Again, if you're playing this race from home, if you're playing the Keeneland Wednesday card from home, consider DRF Bets and its $150 sign-up bonus. When you sign up at drf.com/join and use the promo code TV150, you access the bonus. Approximate post time for the 8th at Keeneland on Wednesday, 4:57 Eastern. Best of luck.